to the birthplace of big-time tournament drama. As it was in 1877, as it has been ever since, the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club is the mecca of this sport. From the era of cable-knit sweaters and cashmere slacks on through the futuristic fashion accents of modern sports, the greatest names in tennis have earned their reputation here. Each new moment of resonating tennis history amplifying the impact of its antecedents. Now they return to the All England Club's grass court, the men whose frustrations and triumphs will define this era in the sport's ongoing chronologue. At the head of the class, two men who have combined to co-author their own select chapter in the tournament's history. Opponents in the final 3 years in a row, adjutants of two of the most elegant and overpowering grass court arsenals of all time, tennis's top two players have combined to win Wimbledon 5 times in the past 6 years. Their 5-set title match a year ago enhanced and embellished the center court credentials of both and leaves a vivid backdrop for this year's renewal as Stefan Edberg and Boris Becker lead the procession on the center stage at Wimbledon 1991. Raining as relentlessly as at any other time during that period, and as you can see, all of the All England Club's courts are presently covered with tarpaulins. Even though the scheduled time for the start of play has arrived, there are no matches yet, and we don't know if there will be any in 63-degree temperatures with 69% humidity and an outlook for continued rain. We certainly hope that we'll be able to bring you some tennis today. Hello, I'm Jim Lampley. We at HBO welcome you back to our 17th year of coverage of this, the most prestigious tennis tournament in the world. Every day this week, you'll see full match coverage from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific time, highlights at 7:30 and then again at 11:30. In the second week of the tournament, full match coverage 5 to 7:30 each day Eastern and Pacific, highlight show for a half hour at 7:30. And then after the conclusion of the tournament, on Monday, July 8th, Wimbledon 91, a look back at all the highlights at 7 p.m. Eastern and Pacific time. And I'm joined in our announced position, as is always the case, by 1975 Wimbledon tennis champ and HBO tennis expert Arthur Ashe. And Arthur, already a big story before the start of play. Number 1 ranked and seeded woman, Monica Seles, out of the tournament. We have heard about a knee injury, perhaps a shoulder injury, shin splints, inflammation behind the tibia. Quite a mystery. Why?
At first glance, it seems like another version of a just say no comment defense, because we just don't know. But nevertheless, I think it is an object lesson for players like Jennifer Capriati and the young Californian Venus Williams, who's only 10 and already precious. You can play too much too soon if you're a woman and start playing that quickly.
And this has happened to some American women in the past, notably Tracy Austin, right?
Yes, in particular Tracy Austin, because in her mid-teen years, she was growing very fast, and the coordination couldn't keep up. She was playing too much, and she's out.
And incidentally, the word today is that Seles might not play until after the United States Open in September. That would be quite a long layoff. Arthur, let's turn our attention to the 16 seeded players in the on center court with Stefan Edberg, who has a tough match in the first round against Marc Rosset of Switzerland. He serves 125 miles per hour. He's 6 feet 5 inches tall. He's well equipped to give Stefan Edberg a little bit of difficulty on Graf. The second match on center court, if it's played, will be Andre Agassi's return to Wimbledon for the first time since his first round straight set loss to Henri Leconte back in 1987. His opponent, Canadian Grant Connell, beat Von Lendl on grass just a couple weeks ago. And then, 9th-seeded woman Jennifer Capriati, 1 year older, wiser, and perhaps a little bit less confident at age 15 against former NCAA singles champion Sean Stafford. That's also on center court. Over on court number 1, next door, Arthur and I will be watching 3rd-seeded and 3rd-ranked Yvonne Lendl. He's never won the tournament. His first-round opponent is New Zealand veteran Kelly Evernden. Then American Jeff Tarango is the opposite number for Pat Cash, who is healthier than at any time since he won the title in 1987, and maybe more of a threat to win the championship again than at any time in those 4 years. And finally, 38-year-old Jimmy Connors is on court number 1. Maybe this will be Jimmy's last Wimbledon stand. His first-round opponent is the Finnish hard-court star Veli Palahamo. Well, we don't know if any tennis is going to be played and if the rain is going to stop here at Wimbledon today. So for the moment, we'll turn your attention and ours to some memorable moments from a year ago, Wimbledon 1990.
Biggest upset of her career. 5-4 Garrison, third set.
Zina really did hesitate there, Barry, and then had the opening. Zina never was on balance in position for that volley.
And on a very short approach, love 15. Oh, yes. Just gets to the volley and eases it into the open court. 15 all. Garrison now 3 points away from an upset. Taking a lot of extra time on her serve.
Making me nervous watching. Smart play by Zina, Barry. Tipping and charging. Up the middle. I think Graf had trouble deciding. Did they go to the backhand or forehand on that pass attempt?
30-15, 2 points away. Garrison really concentrated. And it's wide, and so now Zina Garrison stands at double match point against the #1 seed, Steffi Graf, on center court.
And right here, Zina wants a big first serve, looking to the competitor's box there. It's important to keep focused and not to look all around.
And there it is. Clean ace down the winner. And so Zina Garrison, a huge upset here on the center court in 3 sets over Steffi Graf. And so Zina Garrison moves into the final. She will play the winner of Martina and Sabatini. Garrison to the final.
6-3, 3-6, 6-4.
As we bring you back to day one of the 1991 All England Lawn Tennis Championships, the rain continues, and all of the courts here at the All England Lawn Tennis Club remain covered with tarpaulins. So as of the moment, though we are more than 2 hours past the scheduled beginning of play here, there have been no matches, and it is unclear to us whether there are going to be any. And another injury-related defection from the tournament. Hard to believe that just 3 years ago, Mats Wilander of Sweden won 3 of the 4 Grand Slam championships and was ranked #1 in the world. Coming into this week, he was ranked 59th on the computer, and in another step in his plummeting down toward the middle range of tennis ranking, Wilander has dropped out of this tournament with a knee injury. Of course, you already know that the #1 ranked and #1 seeded woman coming into the tournament, 17-year-old Monica Seles, formerly of Yugoslavia and now Boca Raton, or Sarasota, Florida, I should say, dropped out as a result of what may be an ankle injury, maybe a knee injury, maybe a shoulder injury. And for more on this subject, we bring in our 2 women's tennis stars, Andrea Jaeger and Billie Jean King. Billie Jean, why the mystery about Monica's injury? Why can't a coach or an agent or a father tell us straight out what's wrong with her and why she's not playing in the tournament?
Well, no one really knows for certain, but if you do know the Seles family, they're very private, and secrecy is of paramount importance to them. And I think that Monica just really doesn't want anyone to know anything.
Is she trying to avoid a fine or trying to avoid dropping from the #1 ranking?
I don't know. I'm wondering if there's something in her contract for her endorsements that may be preventing her to tell us the truth or whatever, but I don't think there's a big deal about saying, hey, I've got an injury and I can't play. I mean, that's what it is. She's had some chronic problems with shin splints over the last year. She's had tendonitis of the shoulder. She had ankle problems last summer. So I think she needs to stop and feel and listen and take some time off.
Which brings us to you, Andrea, because the perception is that injuries help to shorten your career and end it long before it should have been ended. Do you see a parallel between Monica's present situation and the kinds of injuries that befell you late in your teenage years?
Well, both Monica and myself are baseliners, and I think that does take a lot out of you. And with Monica's stroke, she's got to get to the balls and she's got to hit it with a lot of power. So she will probably come up with more nagging injuries. And right now, I think it's a hard time for her because she's #1 in the world. She wants to protect that. And if anyone knows she has a weakness, that might play on her emotional state. So I think that's why there's a lot of secrecy going on.
If, based on your experience, you could offer one salient piece of advice at this point to Monica Seles, what would it be?
It's difficult because I don't know exactly what her injury was. My injury happened in 1984, and I'm getting ready for my 7th surgery after Wimbledon. So for her, I would just, go to the best doctors and don't come back until you're ready to play. And if they want the secrecy, fine, but get yourself fixed. And your health is more important than anything else, whether it's a #1 ranking or contracts. And her parents need to realize that as well, and the agents and everyone else that's surrounding her.
Well, you alluded to those business relationships, Billie Jean, and it's worth noting that players like Monica and Jennifer Capriati have millions of dollars in endorsement contracts when they're 15, 16, and 17 years old. That's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure, but they also have a lot of time. Relax, take the time, as Andrea said, get well, because you really have to think in terms of longevity instead of this immediacy that keeps coming up.
Indeed, if she took a whole year off from the sport, she'd still only be 18 years old.
Take 2 years off if that's what it takes. Doesn't matter, but get well.
Somehow I doubt that's going to be the case. All right, thanks a lot, Billie Jean and Andrea. Right now, with the rain continuing to fall here at Wimbledon, we go back to some highlights of the great tournament that took place here 1 year ago. Got a chance to do pretty well.
Yes.
Let's turn our attention to the women's draw, and of course the seeds have now changed with Seles out. But before, when she was seeded #1, a lot of people thought that your pupil, Martina Navratilova, might have been a little bit offended to be all the way down at the 4th seed after having won the tournament 9 times, including last year. How did Martina feel about the 4th seed?
Martina really felt she should be seeded #1, only because of Graf. She said if it were Clay, forget it. I should be seeded 8. But how many times do I have to win here? I won 9, and she feels she's playing better this year than last year. So I think it's probably helped her to focus on winning.
Yeah, maybe the committee did her a favor and gave her a little extra incentive by seeding her lower than she believes that she should be ranked coming into the tournament.
Craig and I are very happy that she didn't get seeded that high, because you cannot believe how focused she's been since the season came out.
Let's take a look at the 16 seeds now in the absence of Seles, and take us through the draw a little bit, Billie Jean.
Well, Steffi, Graf, who won Wimbledon in 88 and 89, is probably more vulnerable and more erratic this year, although she's won 3 tournaments. I don't see her winning Wimbledon this year at all. And Zina Garrison, who was the finalist last year, had great wins over Seles and Graf to get to the final against Martina, has had a pull stomach muscle. For her to ever win Wimbledon, I think she's going to have to change her serve. Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, seeded #4 now. I think that she loves to play Graf. So if they could both get to the semis, she beat Graf love and 2 at the French. So I think that could be an interesting thing if they should get there. Jennifer Capriati, 15 years of age, got into a couple of semifinals this year, but mostly she's a quarterfinalist. I think it's terrific that she's not doing better. I think Arthur and I have discussed this. We think it's good, but give her some time, only being 15 years of age. Martina Navratilova, she's the person to beat because it is Graf. I think with the change of draw now that she's in Sabatini's half, it's probably in her favor. Gabriela Sabatini has won 5 tournaments. She's beaten Graf the last 5 times they've played. The most improved player because of Carlos Kirchmeier, her coach, and also sports psychologist Jim Moran.
There are some people who are disappointed that Gabriela and Martina are in the same half of the draw, so what people think should have been the final is going to be a semifinal match if they make it that far.
They've got a lot of wins. They have to win a lot of matches to get there. But a lot of people have picked Sabatini to win the tournament.
Fascinating, because a year ago, no one would have thought that. What a job Carlos Kirchmeier has done. We'll be watching that as the tournament goes on. We hope to see some tennis here today. But for the moment, it continues to rain, and we take you back to highlights of Wimbledon 1990.
5 games to 1, second set.
And so the last chance there for Zina Garrison.
a little tight hook instead of the bugle.
Wimbledon, 1991. Years ago, the rain has finally relented at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Tennis courts covered all day yesterday by tarpaulins have been unveiled, and we may in fact be ready for the beginning of play in this tournament. After a first scheduled day of play entirely washed out by rain for the first time since June 22, 1987. Here now the weather particulars for today. The temperature remains under 70 degrees. Winds kicking up a bit out of the southwest. Humidity 64%, and the outlook is for the chance of more rain today. But we're very hopeful that we are about to see, for the first time in the tournament, some tennis. Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you back to HBO's 17th year of coverage at Wimbledon. Here now the telecast schedule for the rest of this week. Six-time Wimbledon singles champion Billie Jean King. And Billie Jean, in the featured event of the day, Martina Navratilova, your pupil, on center court, tries to become the first player ever to win 100 singles matches at Wimbledon. She also launches a bid for a 10th championship, which a lot of people believe she can't win because of the personal turmoil which must attend the multi-million-dollar palimony suit filed in her in the United States by her former companion. What about that lawsuit and its effect on Martina?
It's had a tough effect on her. I think it's been very stressful and painful for her. But what Craig Carden and I try to do is have two assessments a day where she really does talk about whatever she's feeling. And the one thing that we keep stressing to Martina is that tennis is the only thing right now in your life that you have any control over. So why not concentrate on that? And I think when she got seated as low as she got seated here, that she figured just, I'm going to go for it. And now she's really here to win this tournament. But rather than to try to block the palimony suit out of her mind, you're asking her to use it as motivation. Right, absolutely. All right, well, we'll see how that works as the tournament goes along. Let's take a look at the 16 seeded women players, and you specify for us, Billie Jean, which ones you think could actually win the tournament. I think there's 5 players. Obviously, Steffi Graf there at number 1 has a good opportunity. She won in 88 and 89, but I think she's pretty vulnerable right now, and chances are I don't think she'll come through all the way. Arancha Sanchez Vicario, the last year been working on her serve and volley game. I think her confidence level has really gone up, and of course when she beat Graf 11-2 at the French, that can't hurt. And then Nirvana has an outside chance, always known as a great mixed player and doubles player, is now coming into her own, got to the finals of the Australian. And of course, Martina Navratilova, I still think she's the player to beat, the lefty who can do it all on grass. And then the player that most people are picking is Gabriela Sabatini, who's won 5
last year.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at the matches on center court and court number 1. We'll start by specifying that Billie Jean will not be calling Martina Navratilova's match because of their relationship as coach and pupil. So Barry McKay and Arthur Ashe will take you to Martina Navratilova's match with Elna Reinach on center court as Navratilova tries to become the first player to have won 100 singles matches here. Then, top-seeded man Stefan Edberg head-to-head with Marc Rosset of Switzerland, a 6'5", 125-mile-per-hour server. Edberg begins his journey through an incredibly treacherous quarter of the draw. Also in that quarter of the draw, incidentally, is 38-year-old Jimmy Connors, now ranked 221st in the world and maybe playing in his last Wimbledon, his opponent Veli Palahamo of Finland. Over on court number 1 today, Steffi Graf will take the court first. You heard Billie Jean mention her championship in 1988 and 1989. Round 1 opponent is Sabina Appelmans. And then Pat Cash, healthiest he's been since 1987 when he won the title on court against American Jeff Tarango. That's on court number 1. And following that, last year's stunning surprise semifinalist, the now 19-year-old Yugoslav gunslinger Goran Ivanisevic. His first round opponent is Andrew Castle of Great Britain. So those are the matches that Billie Jean and I will focus on. And on the outer courts, there's some great action, too. Let's go to 1959 Wimbledon semifinalist Barry McKay.
Thanks, Jim. Well, I'm delighted to be back for my 9th year of coverage here at Wimbledon on HBO. And I'm joined by the 1975 Wimbledon champion, Arthur Ashe. And Arthur, even though John McEnroe yelled across at Jim Lampley at the Hard Rock Cafe a couple nights ago and said, "Hey, Jim, pray for me," I think McEnroe's in pretty good shape and could do well this year.
Well, I think he could. He's won this tournament 3 times, and he may not be able to match the Beckers and the Lendls in the power department, but he knows what he's doing out here. One other thing, Barry, he may not have the fire in the belly